So joining me now to discuss the legal end of this, business and compliance attorney Seth Berenzweig. Good to have you on, Seth. Nice to have you next to me here. I mean, just that question I asked Caitlin. Michael Cohen went to jail for this.
He did.
How does that impact Trump's potential culpability here?
Well, I think it impacts it because there's going to be, as a practical matter, a problem for the prosecutors. Mm-hmm. The headache is that they have a witness which is an admitted convicted liar.
But he went to jail for his involvement in this hush money payment. Does that also somehow implicate Donald Trump?
It does, and the reason why I think the prosecution gets around that is because they don't have to really rely very heavily on his credibility, which is a good thing because he doesn't have a ton of credibility. I think at the end of the day he's really going to be more of sort of a traffic cop because these are documents. It's a very document-laden case. You have email communications, you have checks, you have records showing that they were deposited at banks. Those are things that are really self-authenticating. Right. So although the good news is for Mr. Trump that Mr. Cohen has some credibility issues, to put it lightly, there's really a very documented record in this case. Right. So they're going to really dig into the weeds, but it's really going to relate to whether these are felonies.
So there's a paper trail in effect.
Exactly.
So the motion to dismiss is before this judge. Do you think that's possible, likely, probable, or a long shot?
It'll probably get dismissed. It's kind of a Hail Mary. Yeah.
So why? Wait, no, the motion to dismiss will get dismissed.
The motion to dismiss will get rejected.
Got it.
So the motion to dismiss most or all the counts will be rejected.
Got it.
The request for that is based upon the allegation, and these are kind of boilerplate in these cases, that this is really just a politically oriented case. Probably their best argument is that these are asserted as Class C felonies and they don't really step up to a felony because they don't hook into the intentional concealment of a crime, which is what's needed under New York law to bump it up to a felony. The prosecutors have an answer for that. They say, well, it was concealment. It was concealment to mask election campaign finance fraud. Even if they are having a hard time on that, I think that it's also masking a tax issue because at the end of the day, a reimbursement for a fake, quote, legal expense as opposed to income for legal services, I think that's their stronger argument. So ultimately, I think that this case will move forward. I think the bigger question for today is whether the March 25th date holds. I think it's going to either be on that date or awfully close.
Trump will be in the courtroom today. Now, we know Trump makes a political calculation with these appearances that, one, it gets him on TV. Networks might not take his stump speeches, but they tend to take his statements from court. But legally, does it help him to be there in the courtroom? Does it help him with the judge? Does it help him with anyone else involved?
Not really. I think it's really kind of a wash. At the end of the day, this is a preliminary hearing. This is a scheduling hearing. There's not going to be a jury. It's just going to be a bunch of lawyers and a judge. So he's not really going to be impressing anybody, and the judge has a lot of scars on his back, so he's not going to be terribly impressed. He's been around the legal block before. But the thing that I find really interesting about this case is that, understandably, it is referred to as the porn star case or the hush money case, and it is, but really at a deeper base, it's a corporate fraud case. It has commonalities to the Judge Engoron decision that's probably coming out tomorrow, which is civil. From a criminal standpoint, it is a Class C felony to falsify business records, to conceal crimes, and those are things that can carry a penalty of up to 4 years in prison. So those are matters that are really quite serious, and therefore I think that the base of the case is more corporate and frankly more serious. Some people kind of view this as like felony light. I don't really think it's that way. It's pretty serious.
But is there also a campaign finance case here? Because using campaign money for something that is clearly not?
That's exactly right. That is one of the felony step-up theories of the prosecution, to say that this money for keeping Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal quiet was to mask the real identity of campaign finance money to support his presidency, which is one of the aspects of the felony at issue in the case.
Just very quickly before we go, Alvin Bragg, who brought this, he's faced criticism, who argued the case is thin. I wonder, do you think it is a thin case, in your view? I
respectfully disagree. I actually think it's a viable case. Now, there are 34 counts. Are they going to win on all 34? Perhaps not. But I think this is one of the most underscoped and most underappreciated cases of all the criminal cases. Not only because there are real alleged business financial crimes here, but it's probably going to go first because the Judge Chutkan case is going to be a little bit delayed, not that much. This will go first. I think that this is really not the conceived felony-like case. I think it's going to end up being more serious than most people conceive.
Interesting. All right, Seth Berenzweig.